Yo, remember back on the bully when cats used to harmonize like, yo, my men and my women, don't forget about the dean. This is not the most the king, yo. It's about a thing, feel real good, wave your hands in the air and lick 2 shots in the atmosphere. Since you were looking for your friend, the one you let hit it and never called you again.
I played basketball for 8 years in my life. I'm a Warriors fan living here in New York, and there's many basketball courts in Manhattan alone. People have asked me when I moved here, have I been to Rucker Park, West 4th, Battery Park? Have you been there? Have you been there? I actually had stumbled upon West 4th a few times in the late winter when I first moved here, but I've always seen these like crowds of people just kind of lean up on the cages on their way back home just watching something, and that always caught my attention. Summertime came around and the whole court got a new paint job in the New York Knicks colors, and you know that I was outside with a New York Knicks fan, so that intrigued me even more. It was perfect timing too because it was the annual summer league, the West 4th Pro Classic, and it started to look like a neighborhood fixture that most people just know about, so I just decided, hey, let me witness the story of the spot. So let me take you through the process of how I formed this self-assigned photo project. Oh yeah, you're gonna want to stay till the end of the video because I have an announcement for you.
I typed a text to a girl I used to see, saying that I chose this cutie pie with whom I wanna be. And I apologize if this message gets you down. Then I CC'd every girl.
When I step into my photojournalism bag, it's really important for me to establish myself as a participant of the community by either talking to the people who run the show or by actually playing. This is just my personal preference because I don't want to come off as an intruder with a camera, and everyone can have their own process of how they begin, but this is just how I do it. Depending on what kind of story you choose to photograph, your pacing might be a little bit different, but for me, luckily, this is a whole summer-long event, so since it's not a one-off, I can take my time kind of watching how everything is working.
Like a preemie out the womb, my partner yelling too soon, don't do it, reconsider, read some litter, sure on the subject.
We obviously have the game out front because that's the main dish of this event, but is there something that we can explore that could add to the story? Well, we also have the spectators, but are there some that show up to every game? Are they just fans of the league, or do they work it? How long have they been a part of it? Who are the quiet ones? Who's trash talking with the players? Who's also new to the spot like me? All of these questions and observations matter in my process of witnessing a local community story such as this, and it helps me learn how to navigate and move. But more importantly, it also helps me set out a plan of how I should photograph something like this too, and we'll get into it in step 2.
To all the ones I loved across the world, it was all good till it went bad. It was all good till she went bad. She went bad on me, y'all. It's all good till it's all bad.
So I broke my strategy down to photographing West 4th into 2 main components, which is shoot the game and shoot the crowd. Very easy thing. So let's start with number 1. Of course, the game is the main thing, right? We'll get into that because there's a little bit of a caveat. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not a sports photographer. The last time I photographed anything within that realm was during my basketball and track and field high school days. And I'm also choosing to shoot this on film, let alone at a focal length that is only at 35mm or wider, so I can't get those classic sports telephoto shots. It was going to be a little bit difficult. Most sports photographers work with a focal length that is around 70mm at least to maybe 200 or 400mm. And of course, within that range, you could get everything from the far side of the court and the near side because we were only given one main space to work out of without disrespecting the crowd. So with those limitations in mind, I had to consider what I could do to work around this. So going back to step 1 with what I was observing, I was trying to watch the sports photographers and see what they were mainly getting. And of course, it was more so telephoto shots of individual player efforts going in and out of the court. And with that pattern in mind, I was going to try to cut through and try to photograph something different. In the most simplest terms, I noticed that they were not photographing the athletes in a non-competitive state. They didn't get the bench reactions, the coaches yelling, the players talking to one another, etc. So I thought to myself, okay, I'll do that. But how can I take that a step further? So I chose to show more moments of unity, teamwork, uplifting moments where the players are having fun and goofing around too, because not everything has to be aggressive, even though this is street ball.
I kinda fed up with the bullshit. Stop, breathe, think, before you say the wrong thing. And I wish I could stay tonight, but I feel some type of way about. I've been staying.
So that's the first component. The second one is about the crowd, because this story that I'm trying to do is not just about the basketball that happens at West 4th, it's about the whole entire thing. So the crowd plays a huge part in it. It's also about what the game does outside the court. The tough part about this is that I'm not going to photograph everybody that comes through. There has to be a level of filtration for me. And from what I can tell, there's 3 levels to this crowd. The people outside the fence, the people that are on the benches, and the ones that always show up. Creatively, I want to involve a lot of layers to my photographs to further draw the attention into why I specifically chose the subjects that I did. When it's all just random folks after another, I think that does get a tad boring, but I tried my best in navigating the crowd and to photograph people that served in this spot.
Scrolling back on the thread, the nice things you once said. Look at us now, it's all bad.
So after photographing a few games, I noticed that there was one lady who kept showing up in all of my photos who sat right in the front row at every single game. I got around to talking to her and found out that her name was Ellen. And Ellen did not grow up playing basketball or even watching it. But she told me that in 2018, when she was on her way to Washington Square Park, which was damn near 2 blocks away, she was coming up from the station exit that was right next to this court, and she just saw the games, she saw that there was a seat, and she sat down and started watching the games, and the rest was history. And this is a nice thing that can happen when you start to cover local stories like this. You kind of find little sub-stories within the main picture. And there's no way you could have known this sub-story from the still photographs that I've been showing you guys, but now you know. This is kind of a hard part about doing a documentary story strictly through photos. If all of step 2 went right over your head, here's the TLDR. Shoot the obvious, and when you're done with that, shoot the perimeter. And when you're done with both of those, turn to something that makes you uncomfortable. And for me, that was starting to talk at a more deeper level with some of the regulars.
Can we get much higher? So high. Can we get much higher? So high. Can we get much higher? So high. Can we get much higher? So
Alright, so here's where I got stuck creatively, and I'm going to address my own biases as well. Step 3 is not really a step, as much as it is a repeated reflection point. And the reflection that I would go through is, did I dig deep enough in capturing the soul of West 4th in my photographs? And if I say no, then I go back to step 2, and I keep on digging. As annoying and perhaps unnecessary as those questions may sound, this is the part of documentary photography that I love so much. Street photography is an incredible experience for me as an artist and as a photographer, but digging deeper into something that may seem random and finding a heart is what I believe led me to the photojournalism doc world. But like any good thing, moderation is key. And since step 3 is not really a step, and it could just keep on going for me reflecting and saying no and just being overly critical about my process and just hitting step 2 many times over, I could fall into an endless loop of photographing things that aren't necessarily adding to the story. So I had to rip myself into step 4.
Maybe skywatching can be my spark, or walking. I'm really good at walking.
Those really aren't purposes, 22. That's just regular old living.
I'm going to talk about a Pixar movie real quick, okay? And I promise you, it's related. Soul is a Pixar movie about purpose, a story told through a character who lives in New York, and he's trying to find his purpose in life through his passion in jazz. The conflict between that character and the other protagonist pinnacled in their argument on what life's purpose truly is. And spoiler alert, even though you're a few years late, life's purpose is just to enjoy it and to just live. So I just happened to watch this movie when I got pinned down in that feeling that I was endlessly digging because I felt like my photographs weren't anything different from what any newcomer to that court could see or do. I hold myself to a very high standard, so my work always shows life through depth. Am I supposed to document the coach? Am I supposed to document a player or a team? Am I supposed to follow them around? Shouldn't this be more than just photographing the court as it is? To those questions, I don't think there was a right answer, because a story could go in any direction that an artist could choose. And because I spent so many weeks here, my bias, like always, is assuming that you, the viewer, or anybody that I know knows about this court. So these photographs aren't revealing anything new. But I started out this project with the attitude and the, I guess, angle that I was just going to witness what West 4th was. So sometimes documenting something for what it is still very effective. And I hope I delivered some photos that show passion, the grit, the triumph of winning, the sadness of losing, the hardship of playing games after work, the happiness that the crowd gets from watching and participating, the passerby that only comes on their way home, the tender moments that the game of basketball can provide, and so on and so forth. This entire rundown of my process that I just described, I'm going to be doing it again for a little mini trip out in Thailand in March 2024, and you are invited. If you want to join me on this entire thing, then there is a link down in the description box below for you to sign up. The whole itinerary is provided for you. We are all going to kind of gather our own work and make a little travel mini doc out of it. So hope you want to join me in on that. And yeah, there's some early bird pricing spots left, a couple of them I think. And again, link in the description box below. Hope to see you there. So thank you guys so much for watching this video and listening to my whole entire process of how I captured the story. Summer's not over yet, so I'm still gonna go out to this court every single week and continue to build upon what I already have. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. But if you like this video, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment down below about what you think. And I think I'm just going to start doing these, I guess, doc project videos like this where I do introduce this whole thing through a talking head, because it's really hard for me to make a short, pretty built out doc and just throw it at you and kind of assume that you're gonna get every artist's intention that I had. So I'm gonna bring the talking head back. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.